Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while for those of you who don't follow me on Twitch. But it's great to see you guys all again. I hope you're doing well. I'm not going to get into why I was away. It is on the internet if you want to find it. But everyone hates those kinds of things at the beginning of videos, so I'm just going to jump straight into it. But yeah, we've got a new pack. Jungle Adventure. It looks really, really cool. I do have to admit, when I was looking at this and all the items and all the cool stuff that you get with it, I was thinking, God damn it, I just want to go back to all of my builds and change every single one of them because there's so much stuff in this pack that will work so perfectly with what I've done before. But anyway, with this, I'm doing it's like a bar / restaurant. Now, I've tried to keep it as I normally do when it's like a release for a new pack, for as close to base game and new pack as possible. Because I was making it a restaurant, there are some items in here which are from Dine Out. Now, they're not actually necessary if you're going to have it as a bar. I think maybe the flowers on the table and then like some of the items for like specifically for restaurants are obviously in there, but you don't need those. And I've tried to make it so that it's that I can't remember which ones for the I can remember for the most part, but I can't remember which ones are from like which packs and things like that. So because it has been a while, but I will try and, as the video's going along, point out which things I think could be replaced with other things. Quite often while I'm actually making this, I'm trying out other things in here that you can probably use if you don't have the pack that I used. It's probably from a different pack or maybe even from the base game or whatever. But the theme of this bar is that it's supposed to be sort of a cross between this sort of, it seems like sort of a Spanish feel to a lot of these buildings. I might be wrong with that because I don't know this kind of stuff, but that's what it comes across to me as. And also a mix with sort of the ancient ruins. I tried to sort of get a balance between them. I think maybe some of it doesn't really work, but that's up to you. I actually quite like how it looked. I kind of had like a vision in my mind while I was seeing pictures and things like that of the pack, of what I would do. I actually dreamt about it. I was like, oh, I can make this, which actually is the first time in a really long time that that's happened, that I've actually thought of that. Maybe this isn't a good one to come back with, as a, dreamt of this build type of thing, but it felt like one that would be fun for me to build, and it was actually. I really enjoyed building this. Going back to the items that we get in this pack, with what I'm seeing while we're, making this tower right now, I can't remember what, I think the video I spoke about it on was, it was like a museum that was a mixture between, I can't remember what I called it, like it might have been just Windenburg Museum, but it was like a mixture of old and new, and it was sort of like I was inspired by some of the sort of old buildings that you get in London. But also by castles and things like that, and it is something that I've thought about for quite a long time, and so I am so happy that this has been, it probably wasn't from me, it's probably just a general thing, but I'm so happy that this has been answered, at least, from my imagination. But I always thought that it would be really, really beneficial to the pack, or the game, if we had something which would be like, so you've got the stone walls, and you can have the standard sort of like details on them, but obviously it has to be repeated. And so we would get ones where it would be like they're not crenellations, but they kind of look like it on the sides, on the corners of the building, that kind of thing. And I was like, I wish that detail could be made into an object, and then I could put that on whatever wallpaper I wanted. And that's exactly what we've got with this pack, and so much detail and really intricate things on here. And I think it's really, really cool. I think that it's really versatile as well. I think any kind of maybe old building, but also like there's a lot in this pack that could be used for new modern things as well. And I think I only went on YouTube for couple of minutes yesterday, but I was already seeing people like coming up with all these ideas. And that's actually something that I liked building this time, because I didn't have that sort of thought in my back of my mind, oh, I'm not copying anyone, oh, I'm not doing this, because I haven't been watching any YouTube videos of Sims in such a long time. So it was nice to just have sort of inspiration for inspiration's sake, just plucked out of my mind and not having to worry, because I mean, I may have actually been copying tons of people, but I don't know. I can't. And there's no way I could have done, because I haven't been here. There's always a worry with YouTube videos, and you are always inspired with what's around you and what you consume. So it's hard not to, even accidentally or in your subconscious, not to copy someone. But it's still nice, not to have that thing to worry about. But yeah, we're starting to do some of the interior with just the wallpaper and things like that. Oh, this is where I'm sort of making it into a restaurant area. So this room, which I put the kitchen unit thing in, it's not a good room. It intentionally wasn't. I didn't want to put tons of items in there. The thing is when you're actually playing with a restaurant, if you're going to visit the restaurant, then the only person in there is the cook. And then if you're running the restaurant, still the only person in there is the cook and like the occasional waiter. But it's not really a room that you use, and yeah, realistically it could be nice to make it into a whole big nice kitchen and that kind of thing. But they just stayed like glued to, like chained to that work desk. So to me, the reason why I made it like that, so it was so plain, I think the only other thing I put in there is a sink maybe, or a rug, something like that. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to make it so that it was really easy for you guys to change it into whatever you wanted. So if you didn't want this to be a restaurant and you only wanted it to be a bar, then you could change that whole area to bathrooms and make them much nicer than they are, and less sort of like cubicles, and make them sort of a bit more spacious and things like that. Maybe a bit more luxurious, or you could change that room into whatever you wanted. It could be an office, it could be all sorts of things. One of the things that I did, you might have noticed that there's a room up here that I'm currently putting the stairs into, and I know this is kind of weird, but I made it into sort of a bedroom or a workspace that maybe the owner might live here and do stuff up in there. But it also had sort of that workbench thing that we've got, the archaeology one or whatever it is. We've got that bench up there, and just a mirror, and I think maybe a sofa. And the reason I do that is actually the main thing is to do with the bed, putting the bed in there, because I am not a very good Sims player, and I often find, especially if I'm focusing on one Sim in particular, that the other Sims that I've got with me tend to have not the best needs. But sometimes I know that if I send them back home, then like they're supposed to tend to their needs, but they often don't. And so it's easier to look after them, in my opinion, if you send them to sleep. And it is something that if you guys are in that sort of situation, you can send them off to sleep. The other things that I put up in there are sort of like I think maybe some toddler items, but it's mainly like pet items, like a cat litter and a food bowl, things like that. And I thought that way, if you did bring your pets to this lot, then they had something. Or even if you were going to the marketplace and you went to this lot, on the off chance that you've got that stuff that you can use. I mean, later on, as I was testing the game, I found out that you can actually buy them from the vendors, but I didn't know that at the time. This bit over here, so that railing is actually from I think it's Get Together, and then that one's base game, and then we've got like the hedge one, and none of them were really, wasn't really feeling it. I think it's because I didn't have the rest of the landscape in yet. I didn't really know what I was going to put there. And in the end, you'll see in a minute after I finish doing this sort of canopy area, is that I use an item from Spa Day. And it's these really thin hedges. Now, you can use whatever hedge you want, and you can even use those ones which I've put as an example. I think actually, now that I've got a whole lot done, I think they'll work really well, but that's just my preference, what one I wanted to put there. So if you are going to use this lot, then there's quite a lot of things that you can add there. You could even take it away. The only reason why I put it there is because kind of like a privacy thing, if people are in their swimming costumes, because the foliage around is quite built up on the other sides. So that's the reason why I put it there, because it would be sort of an empty gap. But you could even make the pool a little bit smaller and end up, extending that area with all the foliage in there. This is something I have a little bit of a gripe with. Okay, so the flooring as it is, before I've made any of this changing the terrain, is permanently like that. It's got some green and some stone, which is really annoying if you want to make anything different from the shape that was already there. I mean, for the most part, I actually ended up making it quite similar, but I wish it's such a really, really nice floor pattern, because it kind of looks rustic, but it could also be classed as modern. And the way that it is, in my opinion, it looks really, really good. And when I've got furniture on it and stuff like that, it looks really nice. It just seems to me like something that could be really, really versatile in so many different ways. But like I found with some of the other packs that we've got, like Get Together was one, you would have like a place in the town and you wouldn't have any flooring that would match it. So then you had to change the flooring and there was like an obvious line, or you had to make... It was just really annoying. I just wish that there was like the terrain that they would put around lots that they would then give you, because they've already put in the effort to make that terrain in the first place. It'd just be nice if, you could get that stencil cut and be able to put it everywhere else. So I had to mix and match and make my own version. And it was that orangey sort of... I mixed stuff with the colour, but also the texture. So I found two that were pretty similar. One was really orangey and kind of looked like... That's the one I'm putting down now. It kind of looks like cork a little bit. And then the stone one looks more like the actual texture. So then what I did is I put this all on the softest setting. I then layered down some colours like some browns and some oranges. And then I lightly went over with the one that was mainly the texture on top. And I found that it worked reasonably well. Like when the whole lot is finished, you can't tell that it's different. Obviously now it's quite obvious, but at the time you couldn't actually really tell that was the case. So yeah, I think it was okay. But I guess you'll just have to see whether you think that it is or not. In this bit, I was just trying to fade it in because I thought that was actually quite a harsh line because it went right to the edge. So I just got the eraser tool and skimmed along the edge with a really soft outline to get that. But we're going on to some landscaping here. I was really, really heavily influenced by the lot that was here before. Normally, I'm sure you guys know if you're here regularly, I tend to like really overpack my flower beds and make them sort of bonkers, and they take such a long time because of that. But the way that they'd done it before, and I think actually it worked really, really well, was like they had trees and stuff like that, but they had a lot of the plants spread out, like they had naturally grown there and they were kind of sporadic. I thought it looked really, really cool. But yeah, that's what they had there, and so I tried to emulate it, and you'll have to let me know if you think I did a good job. But actually, firstly, it was so much easier than having to overpack it, but it was really realistic as well. I think it was exactly how it would have been in this landscape, and so a big thumbs up to whoever did that. I think from what I've seen so far, the lots are really, really nice. I mean, I didn't actually have a good look at this one before I demolished it. But I kind of just went into the lot, demolished it, and was already like delving into buy mode. But I've been to like a couple of other houses, especially the little one, the little rental one that you get, which is like I think the smallest, cheapest one. I love that one. It's so cute. I love it. It's like, oh, I wanna stay here myself. I know it's like supposed to be like a creepy crawly one and not the best one, but I still like it. I think it's really cute. I think maybe I might do a Twitch stream where I have a play with these. With this pack, or maybe, I don't know. I think it works better for Twitch doing a sort of gameplay, because I don't really want to make a let's play out of it, because knowing me, it will just, get out of hand and I won't remember to actually upload it and I'll get bored of it. But what you might notice is right now I'm adding in sort of foliage in the roof, and those of you who are like OG to the channel will remember one of actually my first videos, or my first popular video, or one of them at least, that I did this on roofing that was similar to this to make it look like it had grown into it. And I mean, I didn't actually end up really using it that much, but I wanted to leave it in to me editing it so that you guys could see, because actually it might work really, really well for ruins. So if you're making any ruins and you do that, then it can be quite effective if you've got any roofing area to scale up some of the plants. The grass one I think would work really, really well, but I used mostly this one, which is like a copy of our other one that's like tried and true favourite plant with the sort of white and yellow flowers. It's basically exactly the same, but this one's just more colourful. I'm so glad they added that in, because I think they know that everyone loves that bit of like foliage so much. And I love that they've got like stuff that sprawls out all over the ground. Like I would just want to go back to all my builds and like add that in, like the stuff from the canopy, because it just looks so good. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I think it looks really cool. I think for my Atlantis build, it kind of would work better with that seaweed stuff, because, it fits. But some of my other ones, it's like, that it was the exact look I was trying to go for with the get together pond algae stuff. But yeah, it's really, really cool. But yeah, I love all these plants. I think I used a couple from the pet stuff, because I'd never used them before, because I did actually do a and I even recorded it actually. I made a vet clinic, but I didn't actually like it, and then I couldn't be bothered to make a video out of it, so I'm sorry you guys. But yeah, I didn't actually get to play with some of those other stuff, because I think I was making a modern build, so it didn't really fit. But yeah, here we go. I'm going to have to make a confession to you guys. Thanks for making it this far into the video. But there is going to be a big chunk of this taken out of what it would normally be. Because I couldn't decide on what table I was going to use for the... Like, I figured out which bigger table I was going to use, but couldn't figure out what smaller table I was going to use for the two-seater dining tables. And I ended up going for a base game one that is actually an outdoor table. It isn't like a dining table. But when I then made that decision, I forgot to press record. So there's a bunch of this which I didn't actually do. The only thing you missed was, see that sort of platform area that I did in the corner there? You can kind of see it on the screen. I made that into sort of like a performance area, which I've done in quite a few of my other builds before, so you're not really missing out on that. And then I put a whole load of candles near, like around it. I put some sofas out, and then it's just basically me placing tables and chairs. It's not all that exciting. It's stuff that you've probably seen before, and actually you're probably like, yes, sorry, thank you for leaving that out. So I thought, this is my first video back in quite a while. I didn't want to feel like shooting my brains out, so I decided not to delete everything that I just made and re-record it. I hope you guys don't mind. So yeah, that's gonna. To be honest, let's just face it. With how little I'm posting at the moment, it's not really gonna, it's not gonna affect the quality all that much, because there isn't any, as a standpoint. But anyway, I also end up making this pool slightly bigger. I think I might have caught that on camera. I'm not really sure. I think you find it sort of like right at the end of the video, like a 2-second. Clip probably, but Yeah, I also really love the decorations in this. Like, I love those chairs. I like that they're both, they could be indoors and outdoors, but they could also be modern, but they could also be old. Like, I love that sort of thing. They've really gone for the versatility with this. Because I think possibly with some of the items, although they're really, really awesome, especially for some of the builds which I've done, and because I sometimes like building old stuff, it's like actually, for the vast majority of things, you're not going to use it. I think for this, like, obviously there's some things like which are specific for like ruins and things like that. Obviously that's something that maybe you wouldn't use day to day, but even then they've got some plain versions of those, I feel. But all of the sort of like indoor or furniture items, I think they've done a really good job. And I've noticed actually the textures on all the items just keeps getting better and better and better. Sometimes if you're looking closely at some of the base game stuff or the early release packs, it's like, ooh, they're not the same quality, you know? Okay, so with this one, this is another example of me not being able to find something. The problem is I didn't want to go for something that was too off in colour because we've got so many colours around. So I wanted to kind of match the brick that we've already got going on, that's sort of a creamy beige. And I also wanted to use the new bar. So the new bar sort of fit perfectly in this colorway, but I couldn't find like any surfaces that fit the way I wanted it to. Now you can change it up, use completely different ones. I ended up using the counters from Cool Kitchen, I think, because they were the closest. I'm also loving this size down feature. I know this is old news for you guys, but like I was just able to size down that plant so that it fit perfectly in the pot, and it's like the perfect size. And I was like, yes, it was so satisfying. But yeah, anyway, but I'm sure there's other things. It's like that the glowy bit isn't really all that good, but anyway, it was the closest thing, and I was happy with it. I didn't want to overthink it, and it kind of matches the thing that we've got on the wall there, which is from the Dine Out. Again, that's not really necessary, but yeah, you can change it to whatever sort of one you want. I've got two bars there, but yeah, you can switch them out with whatever one and whatever colorway that you so desire. It might be that you have those and it would be fine, and it might even be that you can find some countertops which I missed which fit perfectly, because I was sort of like, okay, these ones work, I'm not going to look any further. I give up. I've already searched through those. This is kind of a seating area. Something that I found recently that I've been playing quite a lot of. Whereas before, when I was doing a lot of videos, it was like I was playing just to make videos. I wasn't playing just for fun. And I've been playing a lot of Sims just for fun lately, and doing like challenges and things like that. But it's mostly just with people rather than, or Sims, rather than actually doing builds. Something I found when I was like trying to put on like weddings and like just events and parties and stuff, when I went to some community lots, is that like a lot of the seating areas, they're not big enough. Like if you want to talk to like everyone on the lot or everyone in the party, I know that's a bit extreme, but you just want to be able to raise the relationship with the most amount of people that you can at a time, so that it doesn't deplete, because otherwise it would take ages just doing and when you start doing like just individual actions to everyone, they all just join this like gigantic group of people talking. And I found they all wanted to sit with each other, but there was nowhere for them to sit with each other, because there was like a bench for two people and then everyone's just standing around, or they're standing sort of like, but sitting back to each other or whatever. But I thought with that area there, it kind of feels like a living room, but it's also somewhere that there's actually quite a lot of seating, and there's a lot of space that people could stand around and chat. And that, so if you've got a big group of people, then it will work. Because I guess you can also put this in this lot in Oasis Springs that you could then use it sort of on the everyday. This area, we're already at the part where you can see over there, I've put a bunch of chairs there. We're past the point. I've already done like the vast majority of the build. This is like the end bit. But yeah, over in this area, I've got a little play area. It reminded me of when I was a kid and my parents used to send me off to the little kids play area while we were waiting for the food to come. And maybe it's a little bit inappropriate if you're thinking about this as a bar, but I think maybe as you get family pubs where there's sort of a play area outside, at least in the UK, and the parents are all drinking, but then the kids are outside having fun, which I guess this is kind of a similar thing. And yeah, you can just sort of send the kids off here, mixing up kids and children then, but send them off here and they can go and play, and then you can just sort of forget about them. I also put a bunch of toddler chairs. I'm mixing up all my words, I'm not talking right straight, but you saw just then a little bit of the outside. I've taken screenshots of it so you'll see it clearly. I put some toddler chairs so that you could take them and add them onto tables wherever you're going. This is a smaller seating area. I wanted to do something in this area, but it was just kind of too small, and with that door in there, it was just a bit awkward, so I left it. But maybe you guys can think of a better space or idea of something to put there. Or maybe even if we take out the kitchen area, then you can use it. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. And thank you for being so patient with me with uploading a new video. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and hopefully see you again soon.